I don't know how many cities I've been in where I've heard somebody say, I love this city. I've also heard the opposite, of course. The question, can cities really love you, has been on my mind since I returned a library copy of Braiding Sweetgrass by Wall Kimmerer, a Potawatomi professor of botany and director of the Center for Native Peoples and the Environment at the State University of New York. Now, if you haven't read the book, it merges her two worlds of Native American and scientific knowledge with overarching themes that include reciprocity, that is taking care of the land that takes care of you, and gratitude, which is both the attitude and the cultural practices that maintain reciprocity. In many chapters of the book, Kimmerer expresses the many ways in which she loves the land. But in the chapter titled Epiphany and the Beans, she really breaks it down piece by piece to try to answer the question, does the land actually love us back? And as you might guess, the answer is yes. The land loves us back with food, water, fiber, beauty, and so many other things. But one of the little surprising twists is what happened when she asked a man in her life whether he had a place that he knew loved him back. And after some clarification, he said, well, yeah, my car. Anyway, if you're curious whether your city actually does love you back, I've got you covered. In today's episode, I'll show you 10 ways that cities love you back. Welcome to Edenicity, best practices for sustainably abundant cities. The first hint that a city loves you is that it provides connection. This is the most essential task of a city. Through walkways, public transit, bikeways, streets, roads, and highways, a city is there to connect you with the people that you want to be with and the experiences you want to have. I mean, I suppose love is possible with no connection. But connection is surely a sign of love. The second way that cities show their love is by nurturing your growth through education, networking, and of course, jobs. Third, cities show their love by providing protection. Just as our parents protected us from the big bad world when we were much too little to cope with it, and as adults, our loved ones keep us grounded so we don't go off the rails. So a city keeps us protected through basic sanitation, clean water, public health and public safety, and emergency services. Now, I know all of these can be very flawed in some cases, but even so, the protective parts of a city keep millions of people healthy and safe every day. Cities show their love through protection. Fourth, cities show their love through shared experiences, which they make possible through places such as parks, waterfronts, farmers markets, cultural spaces, cafes, and public venues. Cities show their love for you by sharing their best places and times with you. Number 5, cities show their love through generosity. Cities lift us up through public art, libraries, and museums, and they catch us when we fall through social services. Cities show their love through generosity. 6, cities show their love through reciprocity. Whether you visit a thriving local business, or whether you're part of the thrifting and repair culture, I've got a story about that, or through maker spaces or recycling, cities show their love through reciprocity. Here's the story. I was working in a restaurant for about a year, and there was this new worker who wasn't too friendly. And I get it, anything could have happened to somebody in their past. So I kept my distance until one day when I was headed out, she said, hey, that's a pretty nice jacket you're wearing. And I said, oh, thanks, the price was right, $3. She says, you thrifted it? Sure did. Boom. Instant friendship. Cities show their love through reciprocity. 7, cities show their love through sustenance. The city loves you by feeding you. And this is where we put the Eden in Edenicity, through rooftop gardens, edible landscaping, and urban food forests. And if you're curious about this picture, yes, these are very edible service berries, and I'm picking them in June in Columbus, Ohio. And you would be surprised how much love cities have to give that people never notice in the form of free food in the urban landscape. This is a direction that the Edenicity plan for cities would expand massively. Number 8, a city shows its love by providing a good home. Now I know the word home does not have good vibes for everybody, and that's a tragedy. But a loving city would make sure that housing is a human right, that it's open to all incomes and it's dignified at all incomes, and that good amenities are available at all levels of housing. We're talking gardens, pools, playgrounds. All housing should come with these. But a good home by itself can be very isolating, so to be truly loving, homes in cities should be walkable and connected. And finally, every home should have nature and sky views, because a city that loves you provides a good home for all of its residents. Number 9, you know a city loves you when it provides peace and tranquility. The Edenicity way of providing this is by making cities car-free. Here's why. Public transit, as I've shown in other episodes, is 10 to 800 times safer than automotive transit. In a car-free city, there would be 90% fewer trauma cases, according to the American Association of Trauma Surgeons. There would be far fewer chronic diseases. The air would be clean. There would be 4 times less noise, and far less fear and stress when we or our children go outside. And so it's very likely that people would go outside and be among friends and neighbors that much more frequently. A city shows you its love by providing peace and tranquility. And finally, number 10, a city shows you its love through its loyalty. You know it loves you when it won't abandon you in old age, because the housing and the neighborhoods are multi-generational. A loving city is interdependent, meaning mixed use. For example, brownstones with ground floor shops keep everything close by. Cities show their loyalty by being human scale, so that everything's close by and walkable, and you're not likely to get lost trying to meet your basic needs, or feel like you've gotten somewhere that you don't belong. And for some people, human scale might even mean low-rise rather than high-rise. Cities show their loyalty by being built with privacy gradients, meaning porches, small courtyards, and the ability to see what's going on the street from where you live. This is architecture that's loyal to people's twin desires of connection and privacy. And of course, cities can show their loyalty through having neighborhoods that provide a sense of place. And the best way to do this is through architectural integrity, where each neighborhood has an identifiable style and is not just a haphazard jumble. Cities show their love and their loyalty by being built with you in mind. Now, I'll get to that question in a moment, but here's a quick summary. You know a city loves you when it provides you with connection through walkways, bikeways, and public transit, nurturing and growth through education, networking, and jobs, protection through public health, safety, sanitation, and emergency services, shared experiences through parks, markets, cafes, and cultural venues, generosity through public art, libraries, museums, and social services, reciprocity through a thriving local circular economy, sustenance through edible landscapes and rooftops, a good home through affordable, beautiful, community-rooted housing, tranquility by being car-free, which is far safer, healthier, quieter, with much less stress than what we endure today, and loyalty through multi-generational, mixed-use, human-scale housing that's built with you and your whole life in mind. That said, we happen to live in what I would call a gratitude drought, where the things that sustain us are being torn apart or stolen from us, or were built to seduce a few and not to love the many. In times like these, how can we get back to a loving environment? In my view, it begins by asking the question, how can we restore gratitude, connection, and reciprocity in our own lives? Rituals of gratitude abound in the world's religions and cultures. In my case, I happened upon a gratitude practice which I've done for years and years every day, just thinking of the things that I was grateful for in the preceding day, and also a brief moment of forgiveness, where I think of somebody who's angered me, and then try to see things from their perspective and let go of some of that anger. As a permaculture designer and urbanist, I've found that these have been very cleansing habits that allow me to do my work in a way that is both caring and dispassionate. In times like these, I've met many people who would benefit from such a practice. Now, the questions that I want to leave you with are, if you knew your city loved you, how would you treat it? This is a paraphrase of a question in Braiding Sweetgrass. And how would you help it thrive as a partner in your well-being? Now, if you're new to Edenicity, you can download the land use concept from the link in the description, and that'll tell you how many of the concepts in today's video fit together in a more loving city. And if you're curious, you can learn a little bit more in this playlist. And thanks as always to the wonderful patrons for supporting this work. Take care, stay green, see you next time.